Hello there, this is Justin with an unexpected crossover minute, an unplanned kind of impromptu message here. Informal as usual, and a little bit off the cuff. I came across something recently that really tugged on my heart and reminded me of some things that I have seen, observed from a distance over the years when it comes to advocacy for those who are disadvantaged. Um, my being a part of abolition type efforts has allowed me to work alongside some of the most amazing people that I've ever known and that I've ever come across in my life. Truly, just there's so much um, genuine, um, just really, truly selfless people that care and do their work and labor um, in a labor of love that is just so not self-seeking and attention-getting and self-serving. It doesn't mean that in the anti-trafficking realm that there aren't those either organizations or entities or individuals that do, some self-promotion or maybe even get to a point to where it's all about just getting money um, to kind of be out there and maybe they're not doing as much um, to actually truly advocate and help the situation, but um, because that realm has been exploited in different ways, the anti-trafficking realm that is, by people who are in it, perhaps either not for the right reasons um, or the way they operate is questionable or just inappropriate. But the thing that I've come across, and this goes beyond just um, um, trafficking victims and that type of thing, um, I've come across it, but it has to do with advocacy for basically anybody who's either marginalized, disadvantaged, or that type of thing. So sometimes I see communication put out there or um, a message coming across. It could be verbally, it could be in person or online by video or through pictures or through text, through a writing or a blog or whatever, what have you. Um, Sometimes I see, especially graphics, either pictures or videos or some types of print media or using pictures that are shocking or attention getting that are supposed to get person's attention to see and really drive home a point about the people that are marginalized or exploited or whatever the disadvantage or the situation is, whether trafficked or not. It could be, whatever is being advocated for or on behalf of. And let's assume a very, very sincere and well-meaning heart and message and desire and operation. Um, well, which may not always, again, be the case, but in the cases that it is, I have seen depictions of people, usually women, um, sometimes, of course, children too, that, well, to for lack of another word, just to be open and clear from my heart's perspective, that are embarrassing and exploitative to that person or to the people that they represent, with the way that they are depicted, um, and sometimes, uh, whether it be battered and or bruised or um, sometimes um, minimal clothing or even nakedness, but having some way of covering up, private areas or something like that. But um, and I mean, obviously, there's something within me that quickly pushes back and turns away from that. But besides just not um, wanting to look upon um, someone's privacy, someone's intimacy, or someone's ultra um, things that are not my business, physically, um, I see something also on another level that I, because these images or these videos or whatever the uh, medium is, are are out there and recirculatable to multiplied hundreds of thousands and even millions of people, and how cyberspace is, they're out there forever now. And while some quote unquote unknown face or picture of a person or a kid or an adult or whatever it is may be like, yeah, nobody, well, that still is an actual real human. And even if they're an opposing actor, who knows, that is, depicted in a certain way, they're still representing people that actually experience that or have experienced it. And and I just want to ask some honest questions. Should we have more of a sensitivity and protectiveness over those people, those individuals, um, as they currently are, or after, if they've come out from that um, circumstance or whatever? Haven't they been exploited enough through what they've gone through? What if that very person um, were to look at themselves after having survived, or maybe they're still in the situation of their whatever their circumstance that we're advocating for? How do they feel about themselves being put out there like that? Now I know for a fact that there may be some or a few that may be, yeah, I want that, I voluntarily, did that, to make a stand for a point or whatever. Like maybe it doesn't have to do with some type of intimate exploitation of their body, but rather um, some other type of disadvantage or marginalization about their physical body or about their disposition or just whatever it is. Um, and I just, my heart immediately wants to cover my sisters and brothers and our kids. My heart wants to cover and shelter them, not in a smothering way, but in a protective way, to where they are, to where their intimacy and their privacy is restored and not being further violated or exploited for the sake of of restoring them, for the sake of advocating for them and for their healing and their recovery. I think the way that we portray advocacy um, is really important. Not just what we say, but how we say it. Not just what we show, but or not just the fact that we show things, but how we show it and what we choose to show. Um, and the stories that we tell. This could be verbally too. The details that we go into, and there's a time and a place where certain things of a person's testimony are a tool and an instrument in appropriate settings and situations to share for healing, depending on the audience, the individual, or the group. Um, but when someone's telling their story of someone else through picture or through words, through print, through whatever, um, the person who actually went through that should be the one to decide how far that goes into detail. And even then, it's still always audience appropriate. It has to be audience appropriate. And remember, the internet, you can say, well, this is just for a certain segment of the audience, but remember, you may have an audience in mind, but that's not the audience of the internet. You get the full spectrum out here in cyberspace. So we have to be cognizant of our audience, but especially protective of our sisters and brothers and our kids. That And even if some of them may say, yes, I want to put myself out there like this and very exposed, either physically or whatever else, uh, should we still? I mean, I don't know. I want to ask honest questions because something has not been sitting right with me. And I remember when I was early on in my anti-trafficking training and just learning and getting immersed in it all, I remember I had some amazing people talk about this and really explain it well about, you know, not re-exploiting the exploited and that type of thing in all of our good intentions. Um, and I just time and again, I see it. And of course, you know, we're all just trying to get it right, or hopefully, or many of us, we're trying to just do what's right and get it right and get people's attention to something. I just think that sometimes we may cross some boundaries, some lines of propriety in our attention getting, um, and and unwittingly so, you know, in all of our desire to help people to really understand what people will go through or have gone through, what they're working through, and those types of things. Um, I say all this with a very tender and sensitive heart because my heart will always start from the place of those who have been exploited, those who have gone through it or are currently going through it, and what is best and right for them, and working backwards from there, because they are the ones going through things that many of us have never. They're the ones that I'm standing for and advocating for to begin with. They're the ones that God used to break my heart, where His heart is broken in this area to begin with. And if it's supposed to be for them, then I want to be for them in everything that I do and the way that I conduct myself. So I want to have my sisters and brothers and those children, those dear precious ones, in mind with the way that I conduct myself and communicate and express and discuss and explain and so forth and so on. And so if you're an advocate, if you're an advocate, if you happen to be an advocate and you're hearing this, I'd be very encouraging, just very gently encouraging, just as a brother in arms in those ways, to just take some thought with it, with God, and talk to maybe some people about it if you haven't already, and just kind of sit back, and kind of look and kind of think through it, and especially if you haven't already, be in communication, have friends and in connection and trusting relationships, with those you advocate for, survivors or people who are going through or marginalization or just things, and and feel and know their heart, and and be gently protective of them, even if they may say, "Yeah, I'll go ahead and show this or that." Still be cognizant that even if they say yes to something that may be questionable, it is still, if it's still you showing it, you're the one that God is looking to and holding responsible for what you're showing and to whom, because just because someone makes something about themselves other people's business that is not, doesn't mean that that authorizes us to then just be a facilitator of it, because we're still responsible um, for lines of propriety in our life, you know, and and what we do and what we say, the effect that we have on people by our witness, by the way that we are conducting our own self on behalf of us, on behalf of God, on behalf of other people that we're advocating for, and so on, and on behalf of whom we represent in our partnerships or in our organizations or businesses, ministries, jobs, whatever, all those types of things. So just open discussion. I know there's different viewpoints from depending on people's perspective and experience, stuff like that. I just want to bring this part of it out, because I don't know that this part is often talked about enough, um, at least in various circles, uh, and so and just seeing it again and again in recent times over, throughout this year and recent months, just brought it enough to a surface to where I couldn't help but just bring it out, and hopefully, um, if you're not an advocate, but if you're an observer, that maybe this would also give you kind of a perspective to keep things in perspective, and to just know how to process that in your own heart, and how to filter what's maybe a healthier way of expressing some things or not just saying, well, just because that's shock material or attention getting. It's like, yes, again, I understand the rawness of these things. I'm not in any way discounting or discrediting, you know, where, what people have gone through, what they're going through, what they deal with uh, on a daily basis and things like that. And just just the raw, cut, ripped, hurt, broken, and distorted areas of our soul and humanity and our life and our body, just all these things. I understand that, perhaps more than I'm able to express here. Um, but God, but grace, but propriety, but us being a covering for one another, us being looking out for one another, us just leaning into each other in some different ways. And I've heard some of my friends and colleagues that are overcomers from having been exploited also stand up about this and say, hey, yes, some of these people or organizations or places or things, sometimes we do feel re-exploited. We do feel this or that, and so that's another main reason why this is also a sensitive topic to me, because it's a real thing with them when they see some of these depictions and graphics or some of the things that are said in certain types of details. And it's like, you know um, we we can we can sometimes de- we can sometimes have the wrong effect in all of our good intentions and the intentions of our message and the content of our message. We can have the wrong effect, or an alternate effect, while trying to get our point across, and while some of our point may actually be getting across to the people, but another effect in there, and that is unintended, and it was off our radar. So maybe talking about this puts certain things on our radar that maybe weren't there already. So may you, either as an advocate or as an audience that may actively or passively come across different types of advocacy, just if God could use this discussion right now, us sitting down together talking about this, and I know it's just one-sided because I'm on a video here and not sitting with you in person like I wish I could be, um, but maybe this at least kind of opens the heart, and gets us to think, what if that person was my sister or my child, that they were exploited, or they're in this current condition of some either physical or other demographic type condition that's or not demographic, but other whatever condition that puts them at a very marginalized or disadvantaged whatever, and they're being portrayed a certain way either by their dress or lack thereof, or by their physical appearance, or by the imagery or the mode of the you know setting, or what, or the details that's being shared about their life or what they went through. What if that was my sister or my child or my brother? um, um, would I, or my mom or dad, would I want, or someone I just deeply cared, my spouse or whatever, would I want people to see that, or to see them like that, or where's the limit? Where did they cross the line on some of the details about this or that or whatever, Um, just if we could just see things, because just remember, in fact, they are someone's son or daughter, they are someone's child, or they may be someone's mother or father now, or companion or spouse or whatever, or someone's sister or brother. They're somebody's, you know. So I think the more that we see people from the heart, from the heart of our own loved ones and people that are meaningful to our lives, um, maybe we'll realize that everyone is special to God, and everyone is meaningful in this life amongst one another. So, so I leave you with that, and may you be blessed with grace, with peace in your own home, in your own heart, your family, in your life, the work of your hands, the path of your feet, the meditations of your heart, the thoughts of your mind, and the words of your lips. In the name of Jesus, until next time.